Hello everyone, it's Donna Couch, Director of Faith Formation at St. Edward the Confessor Church, and I am making this recording today for those of you who might have missed our first RCIA session that happened yesterday, Sunday, the 26th of September. The following is information that I gave to everyone when we met in person, in case you missed it. First of all, I want to say welcome because it's all about community. It's all about all of the people here at St. Edward, not just our small group. And here's our address in case you need it. We're located on Calle La Primavera in Dana Point, and there is the URL for our website, and it's www.stedward.com with no punctuation marks. It's a good idea to know that URLs because a lot of things are on the website that you will find helpful. You should become familiar with our parish staff in case you need to get in touch with anyone. Our pastor's name is Father Philip Smith, and he has been here about a year and a half. We also have two parochial vicars who are assistants to our pastor, Father Joseph Squilaciotti and Father Marco Hernandez. Father Joseph has only been here since July, and this is his first assignment as a priest. Father Marco has been here several years, and he loves ministering to the Spanish-speaking community, although he also loves to practice his English. So please feel free to talk to him as well. And there is my name there too, and my title. You might be wondering about the content of the sessions that we'll be having. Here are some bullet points that might help you. It's all about personal spiritual growth. And first of all, that would be in knowledge of the Catholic faith tradition. But it's not just about head knowledge. It's also about personal spirituality, about prayer and presence and depth. We want you to be able to feel like you are growing in a relationship with Christ, with other people, and all of that rooted in our sacred scriptures. And so there's an emphasis also on the Bible. We're also going to provide you with many resources that can help you grow. The main thing is always to stay connected with me and with the parish. So again, here are some other URLs that you might find helpful. I'm going to also point out that the white notebooks that you will be given at the beginning of RCIA has all of this on the front cover. So everything that we are going to be handing out, we are also going to be posting on the Seeking Faith website on the RCIA page. So that page, again, if you look at this URL, it's different than the one for the parish website. This one is seekingfaith.stedward.com/RCIA. I will be sending you a link to that later so that'll be easier to find. But on this page, we will have a weekly synopsis of our gatherings, also recordings of the Tuesday sessions, in other words, the lectures that I'll be doing along with Father Philip and some of the others. There's a calendar and handouts and links to other resources. So the goal here is to have an opportunity to learn every single day of the year, every hour of the day, if you need it. We are also connected on social media. The parish has a Facebook page, and there is the URL for that. Again, you can find all of these links on our main website. I'd like to highlight for you the Seeking Faith podcasts. These are podcasts that I actually record along with our pastor, Father Philip, and right now we're in the midst of a very in-depth Bible study, but not in the traditional sense. The Bible study that we are doing is actually based on the Sunday readings, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. You can subscribe to the podcast by going to wherever you get your podcasts and clicking subscribe, or you can simply check it out by going to our Seeking Faith website, and there's a link there. The podcast is recorded, as I mentioned, every single week, and so the updates appear on Fridays. We also have daily reflections that go out to anyone that wants them. So in the early morning, You will receive a text message from St. Edward that has a very short reflection to get your day going. It's sort of like a wake-up call saying, hey, start your day with God. And here's a little insight into how you can find God in the ordinary. So how do you get these? Well, you text the word Stedward, it's St. Edward, but looks like Stedward, to that number, 85476. A profile request will come up, and once you fill it out, you're all set to go. You'll receive a beautiful message to start your day. And now I'm just going to go over some frequently asked questions about our CIA. Write down anything that I don't cover or things that seem unclear. People often wonder, how long will the process take? How long will it take me if I decide to become a Catholic? The answer to that is really up to you and to God. Just remember that we are always moving forever forward toward Easter. And why is that? Because we initiate adults at the Easter season. And so whether it's this Easter 2021 or it's next year or 10 years from now, the Catholic Church always initiates people at Easter time. That said, I will mention to you that probably the shortest amount of time it would take you is between now and this coming Easter, if everything fell into place the way you wanted it to. And that's not to say that we encourage that. We really want to go on your timetable, how the Spirit is calling you, and you will tell us when you are ready. What is the process like? Well, the process is divided into 4 phases. So let me go through each one of those phases with you. The first one is called inquiry, and it lasts roughly between September and early December. During inquiry, we are asking lots of questions, listening to one another, wondering about the spiritual journey and about God. We're doing a lot of storytelling, our personal stories, especially those that have shaped us in terms of our faith. We also will get some basic formation, a general overview, if you will, of the Catholic faith, so that you will know after the inquiry what you are actually getting into and what you will be saying yes to if you decide to be a Catholic. At the end of inquiry, there will be a discernment process. What I mean by that is that we will help you pray about this, think about it, and then make a decision. Not, do I want to become a Catholic, but I'm ready now to continue to study, maybe at a deeper level. If you say yes to that discernment, then we go with you to the community for what's called a rite of welcome. We usually do this at the 9 a.m. Sunday Mass, and if all goes well, it will be November 29th, 2020. But a lot more on that later. By the way, if you hear some background noises like crows or planes going overhead, just know that I am recording this from my office, and it's never completely quiet in the background, unfortunately. At the end of inquiry, you will be asked to name a sponsor or a godparent. Now, sponsors and godparents are simply spiritual friends who will walk with you. And we do have a few requirements. They have to be Catholic, but underline practicing Catholic and fully initiated. To a Catholic, fully initiated means that they have received all the sacraments of initiation, baptism, confirmation, and the Eucharist. What is the difference between a godparent and a sponsor? Basically, if you are not baptized right now, you would call this companion a godparent. If you are baptized, you would call this person a sponsor. So it's a very small distinction, really. It's kind of the same thing. It's someone you can rely on who will talk to you and walk with you through the process. I'll talk to you some more about how to choose a sponsor or a godparent. If you want to think about it now, please know that we suggest that you do not, if you are married, choose your spouse. Your spouse will always be there for you. But a godparent or sponsor is someone that you choose outside your circle of friends, someone you could go to and talk to about all of your spiritual problems, and you won't have to really be worried about conflict of interest in the family. Also, I suggest that you choose someone who can be nearby, who can actually walk with you. Although it might be nice to choose Aunt Tilly in Chicago or a good friend you have that lives in New York, if they cannot be with you on the journey and present here, then it makes it difficult for you when it comes time to rites and rituals. So I really suggest that you try to find somebody close by and someone that is open and practicing their faith. At the very end of inquiry, we will begin what is known as Sunday dismissals, and this year it will be around November the 29th. Normally we meet for Mass at 9 o'clock. We attend Mass for the first half, and then after the homily, or the sermon, we are actually sent forth to study the scriptures more in depth. Now, why do we do this? Basically because at that time in the Mass, after the homily, is when the community enters into the liturgy of the Eucharist. And because we are not Catholic yet, we are fasting from that Eucharist. We are preparing for it. And so we are feasting, rather, on the scriptures. And it's very symbolic of what was done in the very early church. These ancient rites go way back to the very beginning. And so in that sense, we are participating in a greater mystery, and we are a great witness also to our community. The second phase of our CIA is called the Catechumenate. Now, that's a word you probably don't recognize. It's not something we use in everyday conversation. However, you might recognize the word catechism, which is a book of teachings that many people study when they're young. Catechumenate is the same idea. It's a period of time when people study in depth the more intricate parts of Catholicism. And so we enter into a deeper formation into all things Catholic, looking at doctrine and rituals and sacraments and celebrations. We also have a greater support of our sponsors, our team, and of our community. And during the catechumenate, it's an intense time of study. And at the very end of it, we get to another rite, which is called the rite of sending/election. And that follows after a discernment, a second discernment. And at this discernment, you really are asking yourself, do I want to be a Catholic? Am I called to be a Catholic? And am I called to complete the initiation process this year at the Easter time? And if the answer is yes to that, then we are sent forth actually to the bishop at Christ Cathedral. We go with many others in the diocese who are also in our CIA and other parishes. And the bishop, in quotes, elects us or chooses us in the name of Christ. Now, you don't have to remember too much about this now. Just know that I will inform you more and more about this as we continue to learn. I just want you to know that this rite, very beautiful rite, is ahead of you. Phase 3 of the catechumenate is known as Purification and Enlightenment. This phase begins with the beautiful season of Lent. It begins on Ash Wednesday and it ends during Holy Week. So this year that will be the middle of February until the very beginning of April. It's a 6-week phase, and it's a very intense time for you and the community. And during this time, You'll be introduced to the community with rites and rituals. We have what's known as the presentations and the scrutinies, which is a hard thing to really explain in a few words, but basically it's a time when the community prays together to dispel all the darkness that surrounds us. We will also have a day retreat, which will be here at the parish, followed by another discernment. And really, this is the discernment that's really important, because you are finally preparing for the Easter sacraments, which end this phase of our CIA. And it ends with the reception of the sacraments of initiation. Now remember, for a Catholic, the 3 sacraments of initiation are baptism, confirmation, which is the anointing part of baptism, and the Eucharist, or communion. Reception of the sacraments always happens during Holy Week. And Holy Week begins with what we call the Triduum, or 3-day celebration. And we begin on Palm Sunday, 1 week before Easter, and then a couple of days go by, and then we enter into Holy Thursday, which this year is on April the 1st, and that is the commemoration of the Lord's Supper, where we remember the night before he died, when he instituted the Eucharist and washed the feet of his disciples. The next day is Good Friday. I don't think I need to explain that, which will be on April 2nd. We enter into a somber time of mourning about the crucifixion of Jesus. And then Holy Saturday comes, and that's the eve of Easter. Holy Saturday is often thought of as a day in the tomb. And so during the day, it remains a very quiet time in the church. But during that time, we will be gathering to practice for what's going to happen that evening, which is the first celebration of Easter, of the resurrection. That is the Mass that you, if you decide to, will be initiated at. It begins after sundown with a huge bonfire, and it's the most beautiful and dramatic liturgy of the whole year. And unfortunately, most Catholics don't even know that it exists. But that is when you will be initiated, meaning if you need baptism, you'll be baptized. You will receive confirmation and the Eucharist. Those of you already baptized, as I mentioned before, will not be rebaptized, but more on that later. And then there is phase 4 of our CIA, which is called the period of Mystagogia. Now there's a word I'm sure most of you do not recognize at all, but MYST, mist, is the beginning of mystery, so you can probably guess what it's all about. It's a reflection time on the mystery of the Christian journey. We are more deeply now connected with the community since you will have already been initiated. It's kind of like saying, well, now I'm a Catholic, and so what do I do? And that's where we come in, because we will help you phase and transition out of our CIA by talking about Christian witness and spirituality and a lot of other tools for really living the spiritual journey. Our CIA traditionally ends around May 23rd, and this year it's Pentecost Sunday. That's the date for Pentecost Sunday. It always ends on Pentecost, which is about 50 days after Easter. So you're not quite done even though you're initiated. We would like you to keep coming so that you can be completely formed and ready to enter into the community. Some of the group that is with us might be Catholics who did not receive confirmation in high school, and so they may be celebrating their confirmation as an adult on Pentecost Sunday. We'll just have to see who we have in our group. And then, what will I be learning? And here's the best answer I can give you. You will be learning more about Catholicism than you ever dreamed. You will be given an adult perspective on the ancient faith of more than 1 billion people. I know you probably have a lot of Catholics in your life, and they probably think they know everything about the faith, but I can guarantee you, after you do RCIA, you will be teaching them things they never heard about. Why is that? Because Catholics traditionally do not study their faith beyond high school graduation, sadly. So you will be in a very elite group of people who are completely enlightened, hopefully, about the faith. What curriculum are we using? Well, we will be using a curriculum that includes catechetical sessions, meaning that you will experience someone speaking on a particular topic once a week. If you look on the calendar that I gave you in the binder, you will see the topics. Those topics will be covered either by me teaching or someone else who is qualified to teach the faith. It could be another team member or it could be one of the priests. Those catechetical sessions are about an hour in length. They will be recorded and also posted on our Seeking Faith website on Tuesdays. And so you have time, you have at your leisure to go there and listen to the lecture anytime between Tuesday and Sunday. They won't be live streaming for that reason. I'd like you to be able to have some flexibility in being able to really listen and absorb. So what I'm asking you to do about the catechetical sessions is to listen to them and then write down some questions, some comments, anything you didn't understand so that you can bring them when we come to the in-person sessions on Sunday. We will also be reading scripture and sharing. And that's going to happen from the very beginning because I'm going to also ask you to listen to the weekly podcast that Father Philip and I record on the Sunday readings. This is a way for you to really get into scripture without doing a formal Bible study, which is something you can do later after you finish the RCIA process. I will be giving you some reading assignments. I am giving you a book called This Is Our Faith, along with the Missal and some printed materials. Often they are called Catholic updates. They're simple to read, about 4 pages long, in case you don't have time to really read 50 pages a night or anything like that. I put in quotes here, there are no tests. This is not about an academic subject, although it will seem a lot like a college classroom. But I will not be testing you. I always tell people, only God can do that. But I'm going to ask you to come prepared to take notes, to ask questions, to share your story. Bring an open mind and heart when we come to the Sunday gatherings. And I'll be talking about that in a few minutes as well. So the resources that I'm giving you are a white binder, and again, on the very front is the way you stay connected to the community. You can look up anybody's phone number there or email. Inside, there is a sheet that talks to you about the 4 phases of our RCIA that I just went over, and also a calendar. And the calendar includes both the Sunday sessions as well as the Tuesday recordings. And other places in the binder are the handouts that I'm going to be giving you. You can just keep putting them in there. I also am giving you a book again called This Is Our Faith. If you look in the binder, there is a sheet that's a summary sheet, and on that are suggested chapters that go with each topic. Also at the very bottom of the summary sheet are questions that you might want to think about and ponder before we gather. In case you're having trouble finding that summary sheet, it's the sheet that has the date on it, and this particular one that's coming up for next week on our Search for God, there's a little picture of a little girl walking down a long road. So be sure you locate that. I am also giving you a copy of the Sunday Missal. These are missals that normally would be in the pews in the church. They're not there now because we are not in the church yet. We're still in the midst of the pandemic and doing Mass outside. And so I just grabbed some of them for you. These missals are to be used during Mass and help people follow along. They're especially helpful because they have the Sunday readings in them. I have a little marker on page 56 which had to do with the Sunday readings for yesterday, the 26th. If you page forward, you'll see there are Sunday readings for each date. The parts of the Mass are at the very beginning, and then you're flipping back and forth when it comes to the readings. Don't worry about it right now. I'm just giving you that so that we can use that as a resource to teach you about our Catholic Mass. We will be using a hybrid model of learning. So in other words, there'll be some in person and some online. The in-person sessions are on Sundays. We're going to be meeting at 11 a.m. We will be outside for now because we don't have permission to meet inside. So we're going to be outside behind Night Hall. Everyone is asked to wear a face covering and to social distance. That will be on Sundays. The distance learning takes place in between during the week. We are inviting you to go online for the lecture on the week's topic, posted on every Tuesday. I'm hoping by Tuesday morning it will be posted. You can listen at your convenience, but I'm asking you to please do it before the following Sunday so that you'll know what topic we are on. Again, the bullet point, write down your questions, comments, concerns to bring to the Sunday gatherings. I'm also going to ask you to listen to the weekly podcast, as I mentioned. These are posted on Friday mornings. It's a conversation for 30 minutes between Father Philip and I, talking about the relevance of our Sunday readings to our daily lives. It'll really help you a lot to not only get into the Bible, but also to be in solidarity with the whole church. The Missal, again, contains all the readings, and you can follow along with them there. Means of communication. I'm going to be texting the group through a process called Flocknote. It's a service we have. I'm going to put all your names in there, and that way there'll be a group text that will go out to you, and just to remind you when we're meeting and so on. I will also use email from time to time. You can text to my cell phone number. There it is if you'd like to use it. I mentioned to everyone on Sunday, just don't give it out to everybody in Dana Point, but you are welcome to get in touch with me that way. If you need to talk to me alone and personally, I'd be happy to do that as needed. Just call or text me anytime and we'll set up some time convenient. You might wonder to yourself, what have others experienced in our CIA? I'm going to post a video on the website of last year's testimonies. I think you will find them quite interesting just to hear what people have to say. You know I wouldn't post anything negative, so you're in for a big charge of excitement and affirmation for what you're doing. And finally, some miscellaneous items that I need you to take care of for me. First of all, there's an RCIA information sheet. It's located on the inside pocket of your white binder. If you would, please take a few minutes and fill that out for me. That would be very helpful. If you are baptized, I need a copy of your baptismal certificate. That is, if you have one. If not, then I simply need to know the name of the church, the denomination, such as Lutheran, Episcopalian, or possibly Evangelical, and the approximate date you were baptized. It's very important for me to verify your baptism because we do not rebaptize people if the baptism is valid. How do we know it's valid? A lot of it has to do with the circumstances of the baptism, whether it was simply a sprinkling or possibly you were baptized in a church that did not believe in the Trinity. These are things that are important for me to know so that I know whether or not you really do need to be baptized. Finally, I just want to say we're just so happy that you're here with us this year. It's been a very challenging time to be distanced from people, to not be able to meet in person inside as usual. But the Spirit is always present wherever we are, whether it's outside, in a huge group, or in a small group. And so I'm very excited to be able to take this journey with you. And I just want you to know that every step of the way, I'll be streaming prayers your way and ask you to do the same for me. See you next time.